Hi guys, we're going to pick up where we left off last time with our storyboards and work on passing data in some data or information in between view controllers. So last time we left off, we created an app with two view controllers, a couple buttons on there that are segueing at the moment here. So we go to scene one there, you got a little yellow background, come back to the main screen, take me to the future. All right, so we got our segues working right now. Okay, so what we want to do though is we want to add some information here to this app. Okay, because right now not much is happening. So just to review though, remember we're going to have a segue. That means we need more than one view controller. So this is the new view controller we made. Remember that you got to create the class for the view controller. So that's new view controller.swift. All right, and again that's just by hitting Command N. And going iOS source, Cocoa Touch class, and create your class that way. Once you do that, it's very important that you click on your identity inspector and hook up your view controller to the new view controller here, so the class is hooked up to the view controller. Okay. From there, we've got our buttons here. We want our buttons to segue. So again, that's just a control drag to the new view controller. All right, and then from there, you get your identity or you get your inspector set up right here. So important that you identify that. So this segue is associated with this button, this segue associated with this button. Okay, and then we got our identifier for future and past. Okay, so now on the new view controller, I don't believe we did this last time, so if not, we need to add an image view onto our view controller like you see here, and then go ahead and hook that image view up to an outlet in the new view controller. Scroll over so we can see all this here. Right here, so IB outlet image, you can just call that image view for the outlet here. Okay, so essentially we want this image view to show us different images based off of what segue we choose here. One last kind of step before we get into our code here is we need to have our images that we want to work with in our project. So before we get going here, if you want to find a couple images, something that represents the future, something that represents the past, and that can be anything there. I just need two pictures, and then again I have mine named past and future. Okay, so let's get to it here. So now again, the goal of our app here again is we want to be able to click and segue, and based on what button we press, we want this image view to change accordingly. So we're going to have two pictures that we have available, but only one will show up at a time in our image view. So we don't set this in the storyboard. All right, because again, we want this to be based off what the user selects here. Okay, so we're going to go inside viewcontroller.swift here. All right, and then we're going to get moving here. So we need to get this out of here. We're going to use, again, we're using the classes view controller, and we're subclassing from UI view controller. So with that, we've got a segue method we can use. So if we start typing in prepare for segue, we can autocomplete that. We've got our method here ready to go. So this is going to essentially what is going to prepare the next view controller for the information. So basically we're saying, hey, we're going to send you some information. So in this body of code here, we're going to kind of we're prepping the next view controller. So first thing we got to do is we got to identify our new view controller, and we need to create a constant for that. So let's go ahead inside prepare for segue. We're going to go let new VC. All right, so a constant because we're not going to change this at any point. And now we need to set this equal to the destination view controller. So there's some built-in things for us to use here. So we're going to call segue. All right, and then we're going to call a property on segue. And we're going to start typing in destination. Perfect. All right, so basically this is saying we're going to use the destination view controller of the segue, and we're going to cast it as the name of the view controller we're going to. So we're going to cast it as new view controller. Boom. Okay, so that's basically saying we're going to have a new view controller, all right, and then the name of that view controller is going to be new. Okay, excuse me. Our destination view controller is going to be the new view controller. Okay, so that's going to be all our code we're preparing is now going to be referred to as new VC. So now our new view controller is equal to new VC, and that's what we're going to use. So now let's code our segue. So we're going to use an if statement. So we're going to say if segue.identifier. Oops. There it is. Okay, so basically segue, again, we're calling that segue, and then we're going to use the identifier property. If that is equal to, all right, and then this is when we're going to use our segue identifier. So again, that's coming from back on the storyboard right here. All right, this is my segue identifier. So if I press this button, this is the identifier that I need to check here. Okay, so that's where this pass is coming from. So if that happens, okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to say the new VC dot. Okay, so new VC. All right, so we need to change something there. And actually, before we do anything, let's just set the title of it. All right, equal to past. All right, so now the navigation controller has a title property. That's what we're accessing. All right, so if it's equal to past, we want the title to be past. But what else? So we're going to say else if. Okay, so else if the segue identifier, all right, is equal to future. All right, we want something different to happen here. And so if that's the case here, all right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to say, you know what? If it's equal to future, okay, we want the new VC title to equal future. Okay, so two different outcomes based on what we press here. All right, so let's go ahead and run it. Take a look here and just show you the initial stages here. All right, so again, this is all going to be triggered on our segue and what button we press and the identifier. All right, so here we go. Alright, so as always, you know what to do here. You can fast forward ahead here and we'll eventually get this up and running. We're just in our normal delay here. Tell you what, here's what we're going to do. So while that's happening there, let's get back to work here. I'll check the simulator here in a moment. Okay, so let's talk about, again, so we want to, again, so all we've done right now is we've given the ability that this title up here, that's going to change based on what button we press here. Okay, so if we click on the past, it'll say past. If we click on future, it'll say future. I'll show you that in a moment here, but let's get into how do we change this image view. All right, so let's go into our new view controller. All right, so inside of this view controller, this is where we want to, I'm getting kicked back to the app here, so maybe I'm going to be able to show you what's happening. No, it's still thinking about it here, so we'll come back to you there. Okay, so inside this new view controller, we've got this image view property. Okay, so essentially our outlet here. So this is where we're going to show the image. Okay, so now easy would be think, well, let's just set the image right in here to do an if statement there and set that up. However, that's not going to work here. Okay, because again, we're passing this image based off of the segue. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create a variable inside this new view controller to store the value that we're passing. So again, we're passing some information here, so we got to store that. So we're going to store that in a new image variable. So var new image, and it's going to be equal to, it's going to be of type UI image. Okay, so again, this is basically going to be our storage place for the image view that's coming from the view controller. All right, so now this is important. So we got to remember new image. Okay, so basically that's just it's a placeholder. It's going to hold some content for us. So let's go back to viewcontroller.swift. All right, so now here's what's happening. So why is this taking long to click over here? Oh, because I'm there. Jeez. Okay, so inside our prepare for segue is where we need to prepare the new view controller. All right, so we're going to pass this information. So if we recall, we accessed the new view controller by creating our constant new VC. So let's do the same thing here. So we're going to go new VC dot. Now when we go dot, this is going to access any possible property available to us on the new view controller. We just created the new one called new image, and you'll see it shows up right here. So we're going to go new VC new image, okay, and then we're going to set that equal to, as we've done before, UI image named, and then we just need to set that equal to the string past. And again, that's based off of what's showing up in our image folder, past and future. Okay, so all right, so again, we've got new VC. All right, so again, that is our new view controller. We're accessing the new image property, which we created right here. All right, and we're going to make that equal to, the image past. And we're going to do the same thing down here. New VC dot new image. Oh, yeah, we're fine. Just give me a little slow on the autocomplete there. There we go. and we're going to call this one future. Okay, so now what's happening here is when this segue happens, so when we click on a button here, it's going to say, okay, you click past, so we're going to take the image called past and we're going to send it through to the new view controller. We're going to store it in this new variable right here. Okay, so now once the segue happens, this variable has a value. So now we need to get that variable to show up in our image view right here. All right, so we're going to do that in view did load because we want this to happen when the view loads up. So if we go image view dot image, so we're going to access the image property of image view, and we're going to set that equal to new image. Okay, this will just let that go through. These two equal because we're passing an image inside the image view. So we're saying once the image, this view loads up, the image property of image view is going to be equal to whatever is stored in this variable. So whatever we pass along into this variable will come down here and show up in the image view. All right, so again, that's going back here. So based on what identifier, what button we pressed here, a new image is coming. It's either the past image or the future image. When new view controller loads up, new image gets set to that value, whatever image that is, and then it sets it equal to the image. Okay, so let's try this one out. All right, hopefully we get a quicker build time here so you can see what's happening. All right, but essentially we've just gone through and we've passed an image from one view controller. We passed an image into a new view controller, and it's going to give us the ability to have multiple outcomes on one view controller without having to have, you know, more than one view controller. So pretty nice. All right, here we go. Alright, so we are traveling slowly back in time here, back into the dial-up days here apparently, so that's what our time traveler is showing us. Okay, yeah. Yes, I'm sure you guys just love this on the videos, watching this every single time here. Trust me, if I could do away with it somehow I would, but you know, we'll fix that one here going forward. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So take me to the past. Okay, well look at that, back to the past. We made it to the past. So now let's go back. All right, so we're gonna go back to our main scene. So now we click on take me to the future. Again, the new identifier should be triggered. So it should be passing a new one, and look at that, we get a new picture. Okay, so you can see it's the same view controller, but the outcome is being altered by what button we press on. So pretty neat. Okay, so that's what we're looking to do there. Okay, so did a lot right there. All right, so on our storyboard, we've got an app with two views, view 1, view 2. All right, now we've gone through and based on what button we pressed here, we've got a segue, we set up the identifier, and we're passing information through. Okay, so again, if you have questions with any of that, you can see me during class here, but you know, again, as always, just pay a close attention to detail, make sure you are connecting things up correctly. All right, and then you know, from there, we're definitely getting closer to be able to build our next app workplace. So looking forward to that, but great job with this. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you.